Hello, 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 and welcome to the Rabbit Hole Heroines. My name is Jessica, the big weird mom.
And I'm Jess, crazy mother runner.
And we have Sadie back with us today. As you might have remembered from, I think we talked to you maybe a month or two ago. Sadie has been involved with the Katie Sorensen case. So Katie was as a reminder, she was the kind of wannabe Instagram influencer who made up a really weird story, basically falsely accusing you, Sadie, of trying to kidnap her kids in a Michael's right before Christmas this last year. We are catching up with Sadie today, and we're excited to hear kind of what's been happening since we talked last. Usually our shows go about an hour plus. Last week we almost went 2. So we're just doing a quick catch up with Sadie, and we're gonna see kind of where everyone is at right now. Sadie, how are you doing?
I'm good. Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yes,
We're so happy to have you back again. Tell us what you've been up to in the last couple of weeks, and kind of catch us up to speed on what's going on with the case.
Katie went to court, and she apparently has a new attorney, and I believe she filed a demur, which is basically trying to get the case thrown out. And then they charged her with another charge of filing a false report. So she's at 3 counts, I believe, now. And the proceedings will start July 1st. So now it's just kind of, waiting for things to move along. Everybody knows that the justice system takes time. So just trying to kind of move on with life a little bit,
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Rightfully so.
What does that mean, adding that additional count of lying to the police? What does that mean for her case and the possible outcome?
Well, they're all misdemeanor charges. And so what does that look like at this point? Who knows? I mean, worst case scenario, if I were to get that lucky, she'd get 5 years in jail for each count. But logically, realistically, we know that's not going to happen. I could pray. So I don't know, but some kind of punishment, accountability, and the more counts that rack up, that's always a good sign. So, just hoping that the justice system does something in this situation. Just kind of got to wait and see. I'll continue to put Katie's name and updates out there as they come along, but my life does not revolve around Katie, that's for sure.
Is there any, has she changed at all in regards to her social media presence? Like, have you noticed anything different?
No, same since the day I spoke. Nothing has changed. Her attorney hasn't even spoken or made a comment. I just know she switched to an attorney. I don't know for what reason. Everybody saw the GoFundMe her mommy made her. Other than that, I've seen the same things you guys have, and silence.
Right.
Which I kind of find interesting because I don't know. Have you guys been following Chrissy Teigen's story?
Yeah, we have.
And so I was kind of tripping off that. She was obviously in the wrong, apparently more than once, it sounds like. Yeah. But I got to give her points for stepping up and owning her mistakes, and coming back and addressing it and trying to teach and learn from it. That's a big move.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
bigger than silence.
Yeah. And we see this a lot, a lot of people kind of taking missteps in this kind of cancel culture, community that we live in now. And I feel like the people who come out looking the best in these sorts of situations are someone who says, look, I made a mistake and I'm learning from it. But man, she just keeps digging her heels in, and with the GoFundMe and everything, which I am shocked is still up. I spoke with a GoFundMe employee, and she said that there was kind of a I can't remember exactly what she said, that there were some steps that they had to take to have it taken down, and that it would only take a couple of days, but it's still up, right?
Yeah, and I've emailed, and then they basically, they send you an email with a ticket number, and I don't know, it just seems like you're talking to nobody.
Right.
I mean, gratefully, it's not like going up. I think she got $20 more since the last time we talked about it, but it just is crazy.
What's the current goal?
50,000?
I think so.
Yeah.
But and to me, it wasn't, I mean, it sucks. It's crazy that she's asking for people's money. But on top of that, her mom is using it to share a story that is not true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got me.
Right. It's
narrative.
Right. It's this thing that you see this from like Marjorie Taylor Greene and everybody. It's pushing this fake news media, like that as if you, who were falsely accused by her, are trying to somehow like slander her image. And that is crazy. And that that kind of speaks to the white privilege aspect of it.
Because everything that I've actually said about her is stuff that she said and I repeated. So I'm not slandering her. And it's stuff that she put out into the world, not me. I don't go around talking about her. I would never have mentioned her ever in my life or thought twice about her if she hadn't done this. I'm just defending myself and don't feel the need to walk through life with a target on my back.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen kind of the outlook on you and kind of, I know you're pretty well respected in the community that you're in. What's changed since we last talked to you on that? Do you feel more confident or in the way things are going?
I do. We live in a small town, and for the most part, everybody's pretty supportive. You always have a couple of haters. What are you going to do? But for the most part, no, that, these are my children's friends, parents, and fellow community members, neighbors. Everybody's been wonderful. Just supportive. Everybody kind of, it's a joke, and then it turns into a serious conversation when people really ask, what happened or whatnot. But everybody's been wonderful. It put me in a position where, I can speak more and be more involved. And I guess that's a positive. Petaluma does need some change. I'm on the ad hoc committee, so working with them and trying to maybe bring the town and the community together is a goal.
I know you were like pushing for like legislation. Are you still in that?
I am.
Okay.
Just kind of working with a committee. I can't say too much, but anybody that wants to support us can always email the city council with public comments. I do think it's important that, so this doesn't happen to others, and for everybody to be on the same page, you do need to pass laws and legislations, or people end up in, these types of situations, and it's not fair. It's not.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys heard, but the school board president, her 3 daughters were hit by a car last week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And everybody's okay. I mean, minor. Somebody had a broken foot. I think one was a concussion, and the other one more scratches and bruises. But she's the school board president, and she lives in a predominantly white community. But she's a public figure. She's well known. She's worked throughout our town. I'm pretty sure if she was white, the support, the story would have been out there. It would have been addressed differently. Hearing the details of only sending one child to the hospital and not all 3, and an officer sending one of the children to get up and keep walking another half a mile to pick up the other kid they were walking to pick up. Like in a normal world, I envision a police officer sending all 3 kids to the hospital and sending a separate officer to pick up said child at school and coordinating with the parents. And there was just a lot of balls dropped, or
Yeah.
and you just have to wonder, is that because of your skin tone?
Yeah. I mean, what can you tell us a little bit about her background? I mean, like,
She's been a counselor, teacher throughout Petaluma. She's a well-known person. And unfortunately, when the schools got shut down and the community was fighting about wanting schools open, she took a lot of slack for that. Because while she was, working with everybody to reopen the schools at a safe fashion, she was also addressing all the racial situations that were going on in town. And she made it a priority. She made it a point that both were a priority. Yeah. And so we all know that everybody's not receptive or open to that. So that put her in a seat to be, harassed. And then, to have this happen, you just have to wonder, why were her children treated so differently?
No, it wasn't a targeted situation. It was solely an accident. Like the person stayed and.
Well, we hope so. We don't know, because
we don't know the details.
The person who hit them was released from the scene within maybe 20 minutes, give or take. Everything just seemed like it was kind of rushed. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I just felt like they didn't do their due diligence in looking out for this community member. Right. And when we're sitting in a position where we're trying to bring everybody together, things like those are prime examples. It's important. Yeah. I mean, she's our school board president. How does nobody know about this?
Right. And, making a minor walk alone after they've been in an accident of any kind is not okay. I mean, are there any repercussions at all, on the officer?
It makes you wonder. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But as a mother of 5, if I sent my 3 kids to pick up one of my other children, I wouldn't want my one child to continue walking alone to go pick up the other child, especially after you were hit by a car. Yeah. So the mental trauma alone, even if the kids said they were okay, it's just so many red flags in this story.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, the last time we were on, Petaluma is so interesting. It's like halfway in between this, like, you've got this super whitewashed county in between Petaluma and San Francisco, which is, I would think, to be more progressive and more accepting and more like thoughtful of these types of situations. So it's like you've got that buffer of Marin, and then you're kind of getting into the boonies a little bit. So, I would think that it's kind of touch and go. Like it just depends on which cop you get, which shouldn't be like that.
I think you hit it on the nail. It shouldn't be that way.
It should all be the same. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully with these dash cams and everything, it seems like they're trying to be held more accountable, but like on the other hand, it also seems like it's almost putting more of a divide in between the like Blue Lives Matter and the Black Lives Matter crew. Like I don't know if Jess, if you saw Driven Progressive posted a video about and I don't know the background of the situation, but a cop basically pulling like a pit maneuver to get a lady to pull over.
Pregnant woman. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
And she flipped. Her car flipped.
Flipped her car.
Right. Yeah, and she was like very clearly, she was very, very clearly pulling over, or at least getting off on the exit.
Right. Like, she had turned her hazards on, which is state law there, that if you turn your hazards on, you're just trying to find a safe location, that's perfectly acceptable. And she even said that like the moment he came to the vehicle, because I heard the dash cam or his cam audio where she was like, I had my flashlight. He goes, it doesn't matter, ma'am. Why didn't you pull it? Like, and just like still berating her as she's upside down in a car expressing, hey, I'm pregnant. Still like blaming her for him flipping her car over when she was following standard protocol.
Right.
Like if you're mad already that you had to pull them over, you shouldn't be a police officer.
Mm-mm.
Like, you're just doing your due diligence by pulling them over. I understand that. But if that irks you and pisses you off, you're already in the wrong job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I spoke with our police chief before, and he's a wonderful gentleman. And I do
Mhm.
think that I do think that he's with the times, and I do think that he wants change, and I think that he's in a horrible position. I would hate to be him, to be honest. But he has a team of officers that are below him or under him, and it all falls back to him. And can he really control how every officer acts every time they leave the building? No. Does he really know? No, until you hear a report of one of them being, or not handling things correctly, like said situation the other day. So there's a lot of work to be done. But I think in order
Mhm.
for it to be done, you need the police to support the BIPOC community,
Mhm.
because who supports the police? All the racist people. It's a circle. So until they see all that, the racist people aren't going to change. That's
Right.
just my opinion. I
Yeah.
think it's a
And there
circle.
needs to be more push to, have police officers who are in the neighborhood that they live in. Like, I
Big
think
time.
that should be
Yeah.
a
Mhm.
requirement.
I always say
because
that.
for lots of reasons. I mean, like,
Mhm.
you don't really understand a community until you live there. I feel like, and if you're gonna, go to another community, like, who knows what their motivations might be. If somebody, I think that there's so many different aspects to look at. What needs to be done is accountability, and like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, what do you feel like you've done to like talk? I mean, you said you had talked to the police chief. Like, you are
Oh,
a
I just meant
tough
it.
woman.
I
Like,
just
no,
meant
I'm
in
just wondering,
general.
like, how are you holding them accountable to like move on in the future?
Well, that's why I joined the committee, so that I could
Mhm.
work with everybody and try to bring some change to Petaluma. So I can't really speak on all that. If everybody watches the meetings, then you guys know what we're all discussing or whatnot. But just in a open conversation when I've spoken with him before. But just seeing, everybody kind of has to find a way to come together in order for that to change. I mean, unfortunately, people always say it's not about the police. But when you live in a small town and the racist people support the police, it is about them. And
Mhm.
until the police change, the racist people aren't going to.
Right.
It's kind of like following the leader.
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is, I actually just talked about this in a video I made, kind of in the conversation. How it's not only that, it's the police are protecting one another. They almost have this, secret society, where they are, backing each other up, but to a point that they're, almost covering things up, and things are happening at an elevated level that is not getting out to the public, and they're just sliding under the rug, like, oh, so and so did that, but it wasn't with that. Like, they're making excuses for each other. They're covering each other's asses. And so we're seeing this, and the few that are outspoken and speak out against it, what happens to them? They get pushed out of the force. They get blasted. They get, put on administrative leave. Like, I mean, we've seen police officers come out on the other side of this, where they're like trying to, have actual justice and accountability in their police force, and they're being marked a black sheep.
Oh, yeah.
And getting basically treated to the point that they leave the force. I mean, I think there's a couple of TikTokers on there that I've run past that were former police officers that left because they were outspoken about accountability and, just kind of this, club mentality that was going on in the police force.
Right. And that bleeds out into the families too. I mean, like,
Mhm.
I dated a guy whose family was all in the force, and he was planning to be a police officer when I was in college. And it was like, his sister had gotten out of, he actually lived in Petaluma. His sister had gotten out of several DUIs because she was on the list where, if she gets pulled over, it's just like, okay, well, make sure she gets home safely. And it's like, that is feeding that camaraderie of protection, and like, do only protect your brothers. And, this is not war. Like,
Right. It's daily life. This is like, you need to be held accountable for your actions, no matter who you are or who you're related to or who you know.
And I think you run into that more like in small town than in big city. My family's police too. I mean, and I don't hide that. And they're in San Francisco, and I know that my family treats people with the most respect, and they don't go around, tormenting people or handling things shady. But they're the next generation. They were raised differently, opposed to somebody who might have been raised in a small town with predominantly white people, and maybe they were either taught that people that are different are scary or bad, or just the unknown tends to scare people a lot, and so they react. And I don't know if you're that person. Once again, you shouldn't be a police officer. I mean, there's a list, but my kids are surrounded by police officers' parents, and I adore these people. But then I go out and I see the people that drive around town, the officers, and I don't know. We don't call the police. That's on our do not list. Do not do list.
More though, and that's just really sad that we've gotten to that point in our society that there are groups of people that would rather handle a situation that they probably shouldn't be handling on their own versus incorporating the police.
Yeah. Well, do you have any indication of kind of how this demur thing will go? I mean, I know she keeps pushing it off. Do we know how long she can do that?
No, she's back in court July 1st, so I don't think she's getting any more pushes or shoves, I hope. My understanding was that she got that one free pass because of the switch of attorneys. I could be wrong, but that's the way that I understood it. So I believe starting July 1st, things will start to move forward. And, I believe that once the trial starts, everybody will then hear the real story of what actually happened and understand that we're as innocent as we've said since the very begining. I look forward to that.
Well, it seems like the judge is kind of, a lot on the same page as you. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you think that she added the extra charge kind of as a okay, come on now, quit pushing this off. You're just going to face negative consequences if you keep continuing to.
Well, I don't think it was the judge. I think it was the DA that chose to charge her with another charge. So, I don't know. I've been paying close attention to everything. I know that the justice system is slow. I know that you have to be persistent. And so I just try to stay up to date on whatever goes on. And if they need any help or info or, me for any reason or whatnot, I'm always available. But just kind of following it. It's out of our hands at this time. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I just want to make sure that, she doesn't do it to anybody else. She moved to a whole nother state.
Yeah, I thought I was going to say, didn't she move out of the area?
Yeah. And so since she's been quiet and her social media is still up, I'm assuming that she's waiting for this all to die down so she can return to her normal life.
Yep.
Yeah.
No. I'm praying that she'll get prosecuted, and then I can take that paperwork and address Instagram and Facebook and have her platforms removed as they did with Senor Trump. Same thing. There are certain people that just shouldn't have a platform, and I believe she's one of them.
100%.
Yeah. If you're found guilty of falsifying a police report and the whole portion of the evidence based on that was the live video that you did on Instagram, you shouldn't be able to continue to do that anymore. And I can make a commitment to you that I will do whatever I can to get her off of, lose her following, and I don't take that lightly. I've been in the same position where I feel like because of my involvement with January 6th, I feel like I've been pushed down, and shadow banned just because I use the words that the other side uses. So it's if that is the case for me, like, and I had no involvement whatsoever, like, how come she can, continue to do this? And in a, like we were talking about last week with the MLMs, like she's involved with an MLM, and this is exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about
of an MLM, which is terrifying.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, shows you just how bad doTERRA is too, that they didn't drop her after this.
What MLM is she on?
doTERRA.
Oh, what's that?
She's an oily mama.
Oh, okay. An oily mom.
Oh,
I just love that term.
They're my favorite.
This makes me feel really hot.
No. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Wow.
Has your lawyer given you any kind of insight on what he expects, or he's really kind of just like, well, we have to see where the chips fall kind of situation?
No, they just, following, seeing, waiting, it's in the hands of the DA.
Okay.
They have their evidence. I don't want to speak on any of that,
Yeah.
I'm confident in what they're doing. Like I said,
well, they have recordings of that day too, right? That's how they kind of found out that she
I'm
was
pretty certain they do. I'm pretty certain that the technology in this day and age, you could probably see us walking straight through the whole store.
Mm-hmm.
In the door, out the door, to our car.
With your baby Jesus in hand.
Yeah.
I will keep that baby Jesus forever now.
It'll be a reminder of your infamous day.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh. It was funny you mentioned the school, the principal, and you made that she's getting a lot of hate. I actually remember having conversations, particularly about California, because you do have a big, immigration population in that state. And there was these women like, they're letting immigrants come to school in person. And I'm like, are you talking about ELL, which is a small group? And I know because we have a good amount of immigrants in our area, and they got the same treatment as the SPED students, because they need more one-on-one treatment. They are English learning language, students. So they were able to come in 4 days a week, abbreviated days, and get some, educational experiences in person because they needed it. And we're talking about mass, like small groups, which I'm sure California was probably very similar. They probably had them broken up among different districts. But she was just like, it's just not fair. And I'm like, no, it's different. Your children don't have, in a sense, it's almost like a disability being in our country and not understanding the language. It's no different than the special education programs. So they are getting this more, interactive education, because for them, missing anything is just detrimental.
Oh, big time.
But it's just so funny that you have to have these conversations, and then it's and again, she was and I'm not saying anything against it, because I'm sure there's other nationalities that had a problem with it. I'm not arguing that, but she was a white woman, like middle-aged, just like, this is unacceptable. And I'm just like, but is it? Like, you're not really looking at the big picture. And it's just so frustrating. And I don't know. I feel so bad for the people in the education department that are just trying to do the best, both by the kids and by the health mandates. And, I have kids, I have students or parents now that are trying to advocate to remove masks in elementary school for the beginning of next year, even though we will not have vaccinations available for them to be vaccinated. And I'm like, I don't want that. Like, if we have staff that's fully vaccinated, I could be okay with that, but allowing all of these children that, many of which are probably going to homes that aren't vaccinated, that don't believe in masks, that are not following, CDC guidelines, that's exposing kids like mine that I actually give a shit and, want them to be protected. And the response I get is, well, then just keep them home. Why should I have to change the way I live my life because you're afraid of a piece of fabric over your face? But anyways, it's just, I just keep seeing how much they're dealing with.
I think when you talk about, education and equality, one of the big things that we need to be pushing for as a community is to have internet services available to everybody, no matter what their income status is.
Yeah,
like,
so
it should be it should be easier than applying for food stamps or whatever to, if you're in a certain income bracket to, because technology is, obviously we're sitting here having a conversation in different corners of the United States. Like, we can learn, like they can learn English. They can, get even a trade school, online. Like it's what after seeing what we could do as a community over the span of COVID, like there is no reason why everyone in this country shouldn't have access to education.
Well, and this goes back to our school. They're awful. They're awful.
Right.
Like, why do we have classrooms that have 20 to 25 students in it with one teacher and no aides, or one aide split between 5 teachers? And, everybody denounces that the public school system is the breakdown of our society. And I'm like, you're right. Why don't we fund that? Like, why don't we make better decisions in our political, but we don't push for that.
Right.
They're more worried
because,
about the
and you wonder, you see from the right, this pushback of like, getting kids back in school and no more digital learning. And they're not there, they call, internet for all socialism. And, there's a reason why, everyone who is in, with the exception of maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene, but who's in high level politics, who is Republican, they know what they're doing. I mean, at the end of the day, like, you look at Mitch McConnell and he is just like, it is just so frustrating. He's not letting anything happen and not letting anything progress. And it's like, man, you're about to die, dude. Like, come on.
Sitting here,
just let it happen,
I know.
Everybody talking about kids going back to school and COVID and whatnot. My children had COVID, all 4, and that was a year ago, almost a year ago.
Wow.
And I just had to share. So my 11-year-old repeated some stomach cramps since, and they come maybe every other month. They last about 2 weeks in a ball. We're currently dealing with that right now.
Oh.
So when people speak of the aftermath of COVID, it is real. It's not everybody, just like who gets it. It's like a lottery. Do the rest of my kids have it? No, just her.
But they're saying,
and she's having long haul.
Like 1 in 10 kids that experience COVID have some form of long hauler symptoms with like an undetermined amount of, after effects.
Yeah.
So stomach pains.
That's awful.
And we've got a friend who is, I think she's 2 years younger than me. She had a freaking pacemaker put in because she has had so many long haul heart issues from COVID, and it's so hard to see your loved ones going through that, and then to see all the denial, and to see, I made a video about the only thing that's on Parler right now is like how to get away with either not wearing a mask or not getting vaccinated, and how they're selling these I do not consent to vaccination cards as like someone is literally like walking down the street, like just jabbing people. Like,
you're getting the looks here, kind of, since everything opened back up. You go in some places, and so the people working typically still have masks on for the most part, except for maybe mom and pop businesses. And so you'll walk in, and I tend to still walk in with my mask on. Well, I did have a little acne issue going on, so I was really trying to hide that. But
yeah,
I was like, let me keep my mask on. And then I walked in and I realized everybody was staring at me like I was the cuckoo. And I was like,
really?
Oh, shit. Oops. I mean, oh, yeah. Like, it was crazy. And then I went into the next store and the same thing. And I realized, oh, wow, majority of these people don't really want to be wearing masks anymore.
That's crazy.
It
yeah.
Is. I mean,
I went and finally, I got my hair done for the first time since October 2019 because I'm my little preemie baby. And it seems like up here in Tahoe, like I don't know if it's because like a lot of it is like the real close Bay Area people, they're still into it. It seems like around here people are pretty much only wearing masks.
That's good.
I'll go to the grocery store and I'll see only like one or two people.
I just
who
worry
aren't
for the
wearing
kids.
Here. It's not here, but it's funny. I feel like people are more honest here. I'm sure there's a handful of them that are not wearing masks that aren't vaccinated, but like I've noticed that people that clearly have a concern or maybe don't want to appear like a Republican are wearing masks inside, because almost, I would say 90% of our grocery stores and like any place inside has basically a sign that says, please wear a mask if you're vaccinated. Like they're following the CDC, but obviously they're not confirming that as they're walking in the door.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of look at them all to each as their own. I don't really care what anybody else does. I kind of stay away from everybody. It's, who am I to judge the next person?
Same.
So that's fine. But when they all look at me crazy when I walk in with my mask on, that's where I'm like, really? I'm not judging you.
Right.
I mean, like, I'm planning on wearing a mask during cold and flu season after this. I liked not getting sick for all year. It was great.
I finally took mine off, okay, and we went to a freaking outdoor gathering. Tell me why I did not have a massive sinus infection for the next 10 days. Had to get on antibiotics. I'm like, are you kidding me? I haven't been sick for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I go out in public and I'm sick. What the hell? And there was even, they were like talking about on the news, like we were watching like the morning news, listen to the weather, and they like had mentioned past, like the masks are coming off, cold and flu season's coming back, like people are getting sick. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Just what we need.
Allergy season.
Well, Sadie, how can we support you moving forward? We hope to hear from you after Katie's stuff is, sorry, I apologize. After everything is settled with her, but like in the meantime, what can we do besides report her GoFundMe page?
Yeah, keep reporting her GoFundMe. I don't know. Tell people to follow me. I'll keep everybody up to date. I'll check in. I'm just out here doing me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I gotta say, I've been seeing some of your stuff on social media. Your kids are freaking gorgeous. I'm like, you look like you were running a like top model competition in your house right now.
Thanks. That's why I look like this. They are my world. I am their assistant. So whatever they need, they tell me. One just graduated, and so it's been her months, I guess. And it happens to be her birthday next week. And her and the boyfriend are a day apart, and they're both turning 18. Yeah. I'm tired.
Maybe next year. I'm like,
no, they're actually they're leaving to Cabo with about 20 other teenagers. Yeah, graduation trip. And then they're when they get back, those two go to Disneyland. So they've got me busy lately.
That's exciting.
But that's life with kids. It is. That's what you want. Yeah. You want them to grow up and enjoy life.
Yeah.
So we're excited. That one will be moving to Santa Barbara in August. So
for school.
Yeah.
Nice.
UCSB?
No, she's just going to go to the JC and then she'll transfer to USB down the line.
Nice.
But very cool.
I don't know. They're independent little people. So they're like, oh, I want to leave. I'm like,
that's my oldest too. She is ready to get out. I'm like, dude, you have a year. Give me my year. Okay.
I'll come back.
Live your life. They always come back.
Yeah.
That one that
look at me.
Kids.
I'm living in my mom's house now. So like she wants to get rid of me.
I'd love to move home.
I wouldn't. But my stepdad's also a Trumper. So.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
No, my moms are lesbians. That would be quite the interesting combination. Trumper lesbians. But anyways, speaking of lesbians, next week we've got our Pride episode. I think, right, Jess? Is that that can be happening? Yep.
We're gonna have Muscle and Nursing on here. I'm so excited. I adore him.
Yeah. Me too.
That's exciting.
Well, we as always love talking to you, Sadie.
Thank you.
And we hope to hear some good news from you soon.
I'll be in touch.
Yes, keep us posted.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. Maybe I'll see you in Tahoe soon.
Yes, come up and visit. We'll have a drink.
Bye, guys. All
right, thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us. Okay, bye-bye. you.